If there's one impact on home life, it's the wellness aspect. Everyone wants to have their home be their oasis, of course. And last week we talked a lot about how we have built new homes that we want to be accessible as we grow older. Today we're going to take a look at how the whole health industry and the quality and the wellness of a home plays into this as well on Damian on Design with Damian Farrell from Damian Farrell Design Group on the Lucy Ann Land Show. What are we talking about when we talk about wellness in a home?
We're talking about making conscious decisions in building your home, pardon me, in the way you build a home, the materials you select, the finishes, and the design that ensure that that environment literally is the healthiest it can be, that it will support good health for your own body. And, we've been through this era of focusing on energy, of focusing on some of the rating systems about the environment. This is going now and taking one piece of that, which is indoor air quality, indoor environment, if you will, and really focusing on that. Because when you consider, despite where we are and despite the advancements of technology and medicine, the numbers are still staggering as to the number of people in our country who suffer from chronic disease and will continue to suffer from chronic disease. We truly have the ability in our design, in the way we build and what we do, to affect that.
We've made homes ultra tight because of energy efficiency. Yes. How has that impacted the quality of the air inside a home?
If you were using, let's say, what I would call dated systems, the tighter the home, those dated systems are not well adapted to it. What you need to do is match the advancement with the technology. So if the home is very tight, which is what you want, then your air handling equipment becomes imperative.
Mm-hmm.
So the volume of air changes. That needs to be more frequent than, say, just what the basic code calls for. Meeting minimum standards is not going to get you there. This is where you start to work with experts in this field. The filtration systems and air cleaning systems have advanced tremendously. There is no reason why in today's world we can't keep in a very tight house a constant supply of healthy, fresh air, regardless of where we're drawing it from or regardless of the environment you're in. Even if you are in a densely urban environment, we have the technology to keep your air clean and fresh and renew it.
How do you do that?
Through good mechanical systems, good filtration, systems like UV, ultraviolet, impact on passing air, where the air being supplied to ducts and to registers is passing through a filtration and a cleaning system. And then there's the return air part of it too, where you're getting rid of the older air, the less fresh, the more stale air, and doing that in a very consciously planned way, not just putting the occasional return air to balance how much air you're putting in. But look at the rooms. A kitchen, for instance, is more intense need. A bathroom would have more intense need. So we have the ability to do this. There's no excuse to not have that anymore.
Should we expect, if we build a new home, the builder to clean out the air ducts, to have them blown out? Mine did not, so
Absolutely.
That was important. I think they did just peripherally, but I wanted to have the full system blown out, and so I called in Dalton Environmental, and they were doing that. That was just something very important to me because I hate dust. And I know when I had a construction project at my old house, we never had those ducts blown out, and it just continually cycles through in your house and gets all over everything.
Completely, and that can be there for years. Organic matter can fall down inside a duct if it's not covered and
Mm-hmm.
can live there and degenerate for years. Moisture can get in there. A good builder will actually stuff closure material of some sort down into a duct that has just been installed, a floor duct, for instance, supply duct, and then put a solid cover that is then taped over, not just brown craft paper.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't cut it. These are the things that we have to be careful of, and homeowners and should be should be cognizant of those kinds of things, of protecting themselves from that environment. What's happening is there's an organization called the Well Building Institute, which has now formed, and they are one of the multitude of of measuring and standards organization, and they have put out a very comprehensive certification booklet, and there are actually a number of these books, and they take you through a whole process that can guide you. So they're dealing with things like air quality, we're just talking about that, smoking bans, ventilation effectiveness, VOC reduction, so volatile organic compounds. That gets into your paint selections, sealants, caulk, all of that sort of stuff. We have available now stuff that doesn't off-gas, or off-gases very minimally. There's no excuse to be using materials that are going to put toxins into your environment. Air filtration we've talked about. Microbe and mold control is a big one. And that gets to the discussion we had last week about the air barriers, again, the generic Tyvek on the outside of the house. If that's installed poorly or incorrectly, I can guarantee you're going to have mold in your walls. I mean, it's just going to be a given. That's what is intended to prevent that.
Well, in my case, they forgot to put the flashing on one area, and we had a problem in
That's
the
right. You had it almost
finished
immediately.
basement, right, that we had to point out to them. We were still building it,
Yeah.
and they did fix it. But, just something simple like
No,
that.
water wastes no time in getting into a building.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
no time whatsoever. Healthy entrances, the ability to get stuff off your feet when you come into your home or your workplace. Cleaning protocols, what are people using in the home or in your workplace to clean? Pesticide management, material safety. It's a very, very comprehensive system on one hand. The Urban Land Institute has even got to the point of producing this toolkit called the Building Healthy Places Toolkit. This one talks about the environment all the way from planning. So if you're planning a new town or a subdivision, all the way to the detail that the Well Building Institute deals with on the interior.
Well, I'm glad to see that your industry has been championing this.
Yeah.
This article I'm looking at right now by Mary Jo Peterson on planning and design, she looks at the wellness imperative, and you've passed this along to me out of a Kitchen and Bath Design News magazine. But this resonated with me. She writes, "We must contribute to the clean air in the home and the spaces we are designing." It has to
We
start
must.
there, right?
It has to start with us designers. From kitchen designers, interior designers, architects, plan designers, anyone involved in it. There are no excuses anymore. We have access to the right stuff. It's all out there. We all know about it. It's available.
She also talks about everyone wanted the open concept, although I think
Yeah.
some people are going back to wanting individual rooms.
Right.
I still love the open concept, and we did a big,
Yeah.
huge open area. But she writes, since the open plan came into being, we have been working on minimizing noise pollution,
Noise pollution.
for peace of mind, and we continue to work at it with some success. So how on earth can you do that if you've got an open area that the whole family is in, but yet people want their own space?
Well, how we've been doing it in our practice is recommending to our clients that we sound insulate every interior wall, regardless, so that when you go to your bedroom, for instance, or if you have an away space that you might have designed, or a study, and you close the door, you are on your own, and you are sound insulated. And the cost of doing that is so minimal. I mean, I'm plugging one product, but I don't get paid to do this. New Wool is a recycled blown-in insulation. It's made from recycled paper and cardboard and so on. It is so inexpensive, and it's so easy to install. And just put it into every wall. Exterior walls for insulation, interior walls for sound deadening. It has fantastic sound deadening qualities. In fact, a normal wall blown with New Wool, and there are other products like it, meets the minimum code if you're comparing to what you have to do between condos, for instance, or between
really?
apartments. So you can create very inexpensively. There's no waste. The stuff is all put back in. The other benefit of products like that is that that particular one contains borax, which is a mold inhibitor.
Oh,
Borax is in Visine, it's inert.
right.
But that's included in it. And some of these blown-in materials they blow in slightly damp, they have an adhesive in them, which is water-based, and then they set up solid. And they are fantastic as a sound insulator. And almost every single one of our clients has gone along with this. You're talking about a cost of maybe $1,200 for a new home to go in and sound deaden your interior walls. Because I think that's always been a flaw in wood frame construction. When you've just got 2 sheets of half-inch drywall providing your sound deadening, between two rooms, you know it. Well,
Right.
You can have people walking around the house just on a wood floor, right?
One other aspect before we close today with Damian Farrell from Damian Farrell Design Group that is also brought up by this Mary Jo Peterson. She says, we can design spaces that encourage the social aspect of preparing healthy food and eating together to improve eating habits.
Yeah. And I think you did that in your kitchen, the way you did it. Very open, easy for people to gather around an island.
Right.
I'm such a strong advocate of islands for that very reason.
I love islands. I really do.
That's what they do. Not only are they a nice place to lay out stuff and prep,
Right.
but they are a gathering spot.
Yeah.
And
people can contribute to the process of cooking. It's not just that one person who's got all that
Right.
work on
Yeah.
his or her shoulders.
And you know there's nothing more appetizing than a whole lot of nice fresh food or fresh vegetables laid out on an island,
Right.
all ready to be chopped up
Right.
or combined, and
And easy ways to wash them. I like even just if you're making pasta on the stove, I love people that, I didn't do this unfortunately, but have a spigot coming out of the stove. Just easier than lugging a big pot over.
Yeah.
Think about how you do things to make it easier so that you want to go that extra mile and have fresh food and healthy food, not the convenience of all these prepackaged things.
Yeah, and think about your water treatment as well.
Oh, yeah.
Reverse osmosis is a wonderful way. So water, is a big component. We live in a part of the country with clay and terrible iron contents in our water, right? And
Right.
water softeners are de rigueur in our houses. But think about add things like reverse osmosis systems to really take all the aspects of your health and focus on it. So the food, the air, the food you eat, the water you drink, the air you breathe, your access to outside, your access to natural light. All of these things are so critical to our sense of well-being.
Now, how you get along with the people you're living with is a whole different story, but at least this makes it a little easier.
Yeah, well, then there's always the duct tape solution. Right?
Damian Farrell, local architect with Damian Farrell Design Group. Visit dfdgonline.com for more information. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
More coming up on the Lucy Ann Lance Show, Ann Arbor's Talk Station, 1290 WLBY.